Well, we have a young girl, full of life, attractive, dynamic, and she's serving in a meditation retreat, a Buddhist meditation retreat, where she appears to have been for quite a long time, much longer than anybody would normally stay. So we just have a big question mark. What on earth is this girl who does not seem to have a particularly religious vocation doing in this place? And it becomes clear that she's trying to use this place to recover from a trauma which will eventually emerge and which she's trying to erase. And the plot really begins when she discovers, she shouldn't really discover it, but she discovers the diary of a man in the man's section of the retreat and starts to read about his various troubles. And this narrative of his life kind of brings back all the narrative of hers, and of course creates the tension of whether these two people are going to meet and if something's going to happen between them. Well, the diary is a man who's in midlife and whose company is failing and whose very complicated marriage is obviously at the end, and he hates the retreat. And the book is very much about a tension between the way we narrate our lives and become very intensely engaged in a question of who we are and our ego and so on, and then on the other hand this Buddhist approach which invites us to let that go, and sort of the opposite of psychoanalysis. Instead of telling and retelling your story, you as it were simply step back from it, or to a degree. So I mean the book's holds this sort of very Western modern story of life, very complicated lives and narratives, against this silent backdrop. Well, I went to a meditation retreat 4 or 5 years ago for the first time because for therapeutic reasons, let's say. I was interested in learning the breathing techniques because I had all kinds of chronic pains. I'd been told that this was useful, and in fact it was very useful. Then I became just much more interested in the whole experience anyway. And basically, in complete silence and with no input from any kind of TV or radio or telephone or book or anything, you're in a position where you're simply obliged to observe all the thoughts that are going through your head, all the tensions in your body and so on. Well, I think what is interesting is that as you just sit there and try to carry out this exercise of using your mind not to think in words but to actually focus on your physical state, your breathing, your body, all kinds of changes occur in your mental state, in your body, and in the way you're relating to other people and to the world around you, which are incredibly interesting. And you realize that the body is a completely different place from what you imagined, and that the mind is different. And I also think you realize that all the way you have always admired language and always been very positive about that is something you have to question, that we're not ironic enough about a lot of things that we think are wonderful, stories and so on and so on. Well, maybe they're not so wonderful.